Today we'll be taking a look at a couple of viewer-submitted matches of StarCraft 2. Starting off on the map Roscallion, a 2v2 game. The red Terran here in the bottom right corner. It is Frozeny. Frozeny? I'm going with Frozen E. Frozen's ally, the blue Terran, just to their left here, it is Knight. Knight. Get it right. And on the opponent's side of the map, the teal Zerg, it is Dark Hell. Much worse than normal hell, for visibility reasons, I assume. And Dark Hell's purple Terran ally in the upper left corner, it is Great Oz. A 2v2 match. Who's cheesing first? These two racks are where they should be. Great Oz. Oh, it's Great Oz. There's always somebody. There's always somebody cheesing in the game. Team games, much more likely. You might be thinking, well, obviously Indigos, because there's more people. If everyone has the same percentage chance of cheesing, so call it 30%, statistically speaking, you're going to have more cheeses in team games. While I will agree with you that, yeah, obviously there's more people, it goes up exponentially, let's say. It's not a linear curve, that's an exponential curve of cheese likelihood in team games. It looks like it's going... I'm sorry, oh, this is a 3 racks. Oh, Oz opening up with 3 racks Reaper. The teal Zerg taking the quick hatch, a double gas, though. Are they also planning something aggressive? Frozen Reaper makes its way up here, going to scout the barracks where it likely does not belong, and panic, of course. As any reasonable Reaper should they not? A little bit of panic stemming from that. Now, before the action heats up today, I want to say briefly, there is a theme to both of the games that have been selected for today's viewer show. And that theme is 1v2. But Indigos, there's 2v2 here. Just wait. You give it time, love. Reapers trying to catch up with Reapers here in the main base. The boys are going to be pulled. Can Oz's Reapers survive the day? They're going to rejoin with some additional Reapers. What's our Reaper count up to? We have 6 on the board, 3 more on the way, with some Zergling backup from Dark Hell. How will the red and blue Terrans save themselves here? Red opting for a bunker towards their natural base. This bunker also has Reapers in it because, you know, what counters a Reaper? A Reaper with a wall in front of it, I suppose. Ling's gonna start chewing away at the factory. Get a little distracted by some Hellions. SCV's pulled once again. Reaper Micro will fare a bit better than the Zerglings for obvious reasons. And Oz looking to be in control of this fight. More SCVs. The blue runs to his red allies. Please help me. Help me, Frozen. Frozen says, well, now, thanks a lot. You've brought the Reapers to my mineral line. I have to deal with this now myself. A siege tank is going to come out for red, which should at least keep this side of the base in check. Lings and some siege tank friendly fire taking out a supply depot, and Oz opting to just go for Blue's buildings instead. Blue could lift these, I will say. You might be thinking, oh, the theme was a 1v2. Are the purple and teal going to knock out blue here, and then red has to stand against the darkness? Is Red the hero of the story here? I will not answer this question. I will remark that Blue actually did lift their command centers. He's trying to get them to a bit of safety. Boy's going to be returned to work, strikes over, and suddenly, dark hell leaves the match. Teal no longer with us. A disconnect, very likely, or perhaps a rage victory quit. Oz going to respond, sending the Reapers into the base and just abandoning them. No worries about them. So, now, how's the match looking? Oz has to be in control of both bases, if Oz wants to, that is. You have a choice here, because suddenly you start getting your teammates' income. Say, well, I could just macro up my production, go on to 16 barracks instead of 8, right? You could. Or you could try and macro both. You'll notice this hatchery, these larvae, purple circle around them. That means they're being controlled by the purple player. Oz is going to opt to try and control both forces, it seems. Banshee from Red Terran here getting some damage done. No anti-air nearby. What is even here for anti-air? There's only 4 Marines. A siege tank. There are mutas, though. Mutt-mutts show up. Is their cloak. There is no Banshee cloak, which means that Banshee is toast. Now, we can see Teal's APM has dropped to 0, because Teal is technically not doing anything anymore. But we can see Teal production. Yes. Purple has opted to take over Teal. Purple is now macroing purple and teal. Terran and Zerg working together? Madness, I say. How are the two doing over here, though? The red and blue Terrans desperately trying to recover some of the damage they sustained earlier. Blue heavily supply blocked. Must have been that depot the Zerglings chewed apart earlier. Oh, I approve of this. No more Reapers. Block it off. What's better than one missile turret? 2 colors of missile turrets. Yes, perfect answer, indeed. We have building armor. Uh-oh, where's the eBay? Where's the eBay? But we got 1-1? Nope. Building armor was the first choice from the engineering bay, which tells you a lot of what you need to know. Unit compositions, though, I'm seeing some Vikings come out from red. Is that to deal with the mutas? Somebody making Vikings to try and fight Mutalisk? You do not need to do that, Terrans. Marines counter mutas plenty fine. Viking siege tank. We have Hellion tank from blue. Teal opting for Ling Muta. And a Bane nest. Oz is mad. I'm gonna have to call him mad for this. Opting for what looks like Bio tank on one hand and Ling Bane Muta on the other hand. But the confidence is there, and sometimes confidence is all you need in StarCraft. I guarantee you, with enough of either game knowledge or plain purebred confidence in the gameplay, you too can get to platinum. Marines took a Widow Mine shot on their way in, which is a little less than ideal. Ling's gonna go up the ramp and start fighting against Hellbats, which you wouldn't think would go as well as that just went, actually. The Muta's now swooping in. The Vikings scrambling to figure out what they're supposed to do against Mutas, and I really can't fault them for that. Ling's on a follow command to the siege tank, good for defense, good for helping them out. Muta's fighting missile turrets, which is, yeah, that's how that goes. The Vikings are going to be destroyed at the cost of every Muta, though, so I guess it's an even trade here. Bunch of Marines in the medevac. Lings going forward, trying to get the siege tank. Can they get it? They will get the siege tank. And now it looks like purple Terran here in a strong position for the game, but there's siege tanks on the high ground. TVT is one of the toughest matches to close out because of how tanks work, basically. Positioning is key. It looks like there is plenty of forces from teal and purple here. Or what do I call it now? Is it purple? Peel? Blue taps out. Night, nighty night. Mr. Night, get out of here. Giving up, crumbling under the pressure of this marvelous gameplay. Macroing both Terran and Zerg. And if you are not impressed by that statement, I dare you to try it. Because I have. It is a pain in something. Okay. Pain in where pain usually is said. Okay. Trying to deal with both macro systems at once. Well done to this player. Here, blue, of course, tapped out their buildings. Could be used by red, but it looks like red is really riding all of their hopes onto the battle cruisers here. And the battle cruisers are doing reasonably well, actually. The defense looks to be stabilizing. The Lings, though, they're chewing apart. There is a battle cruiser that pops out here, though, which should get rid of the Zerglings. Guarantee a bit of safety for red to recover, in which essentially we have a 1v1 match now. Just with extra bases. Extra assets, right? The battlecruisers are going to clean up all of the siege tanks. There's only a couple Zerglings over here. The starports were secured, which means these 3 battlecruisers... Oh, well, there's Corruptors. So that's not quite battlecruiser friendly. Jump! Why didn't you jump? I just have to slow fly away from Corruptors. Widowmine taking a shot at the Corruptors in question. Refinery chewed apart by a single Zergling. Oh, battlecruisers warping away. One into each base. Frozen here. Trying to start a few battlecruiser-shaped fires in Oz's base. Will it work? It's working so far. The Corruptors have been pulled back. However, the ground forces are not quite wreaking havoc. The battlecruiser's getting some damage done, though. Workers killed. This battlecruiser has 52 kills before it dies. This one's at 33. The heroic battlecruiser is going to eventually be caught by the Corruptors, picked off. The Marines get damaged and the starports will be destroyed. And at the end of the day, Great Oz recovers from losing their ally, macroing both Terran and Zerg to win the day. For game number 2, I have to come over here to cover up the replay time. There we go. That's a bit better. We find ourselves once again on a 2v2 map, this time Nightscape. The orange Zayd player from the Scion Custom Races mod, of course, in the top right corner here. It is Astarte, I think. The Zayd's ally, the pink Zerg player up here, it is Rosebudio, or Rosebud. Rosebudio, I don't know. Rose, I'm going with. Which gives pink makes sense then. Pink makes a bit of sense. And their opponent, the Terran, all by themselves down here in the bottom left corner. It is you. Not you. You. We've been over this before. I'm gonna tone that down a little bit. That music's just a little loud. Nightscape, a 2v2 map. well suited for not just 2v2s though, as we have seen. Last week I did a 1v2 match between these three players, and it was well received. I didn't expect it to kind of set off a trend of 1v2 casts here, but I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying seeing this. Now this one is a little bit different, of course, because we have the Scion custom race in play. Last week, the match had two of the Scion races. It had the Zayyids and the Kirans, played by these two. This time, though, and I don't remember which was playing which, but one of them is not playing a Scion race here. One of them is playing Zerg, along with the Zayyid feeding pool here. Which, I mean, the feeding pool says it boosts the production of nearby structures and heals nearby damaged units. So does it affect your ally too? Is the Zerg getting more larvae or larvae more quickly because of this nearby feeding pool? That's kind of cool. I think that's kind of a neat mechanic of actually being able to help your allies. Now, of course, that means if there's a Zayyid player who does not help their allies, they're rude and you get to trash talk them. So I guess it's a win-win, isn't it? You coming in here with the initial Reaper, dealing with the initial Zerglings, the TVZ dance we all know and love. You taking the kill, though. First blood. You very excited about getting that kill, might I'd say about that. SCV being chased by a scavenger, which is the Zayyid worker, of course, like a drone that had a fun evening with a scorpion, and out came a scavenger. Sure, let's go with that. Was the Reaper picked off? Can I see that? Oh, I might be able to see that. It doesn't look like the Reaper. Well, there's no more Reaper. It was picked off, which means this page is just broken. Thanks, Blizzard. No problem. We'll just make that work. I'll just adjust. Scavenger gunned down brutally. WTH, says Astarte. Which I'm kind of agreeing with. What did that scavenger do to you? Holy audio, the roamer attack. You guys get enough of that audio today? I think I've had enough of that audio today. Roamers, the fast anti-light skirmisher of the Zayyid. Ground attack, I assume. I can't see the damage in this replay interface. But we'll just have to trust that they do a pretty decent job here. The Zerg player opting for a Bane Nest. Ling speed, Bane Nest on the way, Spore Crawler coming up. What is the Terran doing though? I know we all want to focus on the one in the 1v2 because he presumably, at least actually we can't confirm with this, you has chosen to do this voluntarily. Said, oh yeah, I'll 1v2 you guys. Is it confidence? Is it skill? I can tell you that I believe Yu's main race is actually Protoss. And while Protoss and Terran are similar, yes, they're of course not exactly the same. There's some discrepancies in there. So it could be, I don't know. This could be quite exciting. I have to see though, when I think about the composition that you would need as in a 1v2 setting, like as Terran, my mind instantly goes to mech, because you need something that is efficient. You need something cost efficient, effective, durable, ideally, especially up against, Zerg and Zerg adjacent here. Sorry if I offend any Zayyid players with that comment, but come on, look at it. I think I'm qualified to say Zerg adjacent. I like the choice of the battlecruiser to come out as potentially a battlecruiser mech opener, at least. I do see an extra factory on the way, so you might be thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Which makes me feel good, of course. Battlecruiser jumps across scan, going to telegraph that attack, though how dare you actually look before jumping? Where's your confidence? What is life without danger, without ambition? The roamers respond to the attack first, unable to hit air though. The Scorpalisk is going to be the second to respond, also unable to hit air though, which means the battlecruiser is going to have its way with the place. 2 queens respond. As much as I love queens, I don't think 2 is quite enough to deal with that. Both players going to scramble to deal with this. Corruptor's on the way. Rosebud already has a spire somewhere, at least. Corruptors are going to be en route. While the battlecruiser continues to get far too much damage done. 10 kills already. We need Zayd queens, huh? Mendling. What's the Mendling do? Oh, the Mendling can attack air units, but as its name suggests, its primary purpose is actually as a healer. And oh lord, he coming. Second battle cruiser jumps into the base. Corruptors are here. They're going to respond. You just lose that, will you? I don't know. Could it have teleported out? This one cannot teleport out. This one has to fly away, which means it is probably not going to get away. Battle cruisers shut down. Siege tanks set up. So cinematic-like. Beautiful. Well done. Chef's kiss. Marvelously done. Now, Rosebud, the Zerg player, is going to respond with a little bit of confidence of their own. Ling Bane going to head across the map here. Corruptor support. 7 Corruptors in total. They are going to group up. The Zayd player has to recover a bit, though. They took some pretty heavy worker damage, down to only 23 scavengers and 2 bases. And I don't know much about Zayd production, but I'm going to tell you, if it's Zerg adjacent, 20 drones is not enough. Now that is far too many siege tanks to just roll a handful, a sprinkle of Ling Bane into. I applaud you for at least saving the Banes in that engagement. And it looks like the dreaded macro turn. Speed this up a bit. Times 2 it while I take a drink. Enjoy that beautiful Terran Brood War music. What are these? Acid nests. The acid nest explodes for 50 damage to a ground unit that comes in contact with it. Splash damage to some units around it, which, as its name would suggest, if you took a Baneling and you just buried it like 1 foot under, you don't have to tell it to blow up, it just blows up on its own because it's still close enough to the surface. Which reminds me, you can auto-cast the Unburrow for Baneling's attack, but usually, if you're trying to maximize the damage you can get, you don't want to do that. It is definitely a mech game. Don't know what those tanks were shooting at, but it probably wasn't an enemy. Terran mech on the way. Drilling claws, smart servos. Do you even have any Widow Mines? You do have a few Widow Mines, okay. Zayd players, Scorpalisks gonna make their way and then quickly make their way out. Armored melee attacker, not interested in trying to get up in close proximity to siege tanks, which I agree does not sound like a very healthy decision. Oh, is that really a Broodlord already? Broodlord Ultra on the way for the Zerg player here. Both ready to do a bit of combat. The scouting barracks is going to spot these attacks, though the siege tanks already set up and entrenched. And I do not think there is any breaking this without some spellcaster support. And again, I don't know much about the Zayd spell. Thanks a lot. Is it a siege tank pun? Probably. I admire it. Resumed playing. Oh, well, that's fine. Makes no difference to us. The Ling Bane. Ooh, a good spread. Brood Lords also spread out. I'm loving the arc from the Zerg player here. How's our supply doing though? Can I see that? Active forces, there we go. So, Terran and Zerg, both relatively maxed out actually. Zayed doing a bit of work still. They're getting there though. 105. Looks like they're teching up at this point, making an expansion, a feeding pool, getting those better Zayed units. Now, our Zerg player here. If you saw that, and if you're saying, what was that? I can tell you, clearing supply for swarm hosts, apparently. I'm okay with that, actually. I'm okay with that decision. However, now you have only 5 corruptors that are very, very far from the battlecruisers. Banelings rolling into a few Marines and Thors, it sounds like, which is going about how you would expect it to. The battlecruisers still reigning supreme. This is just plain not enough corruptors. But the Zayed anti-air Mendlings are here. How much damage do they do? It looks like they do enough when you get 30 of them. Is it close to 30? Am I close in there? I don't know. Who cares? The Thor gets surrounded by the Zerglings. Which is not good for the Thor. But there's more Thors where that came from. It's Happy Thor's Day, indeed. Actually, I think it's Wednesday. I think this is coming out on a Wednesday, but I'll still make the pun. Acid Ness on the way. Can you do this just without vision? You just pop those up anywhere? It's like Abathur and Heroes of the Storm. Oof. Did I just out myself for playing Heroes of the Storm? I did. I played it for a little bit at some point. I think we all kind of looked at it and said, oh, that's kind of cool. Can I go back to controlling more than one unit now? I'm getting bored. And moving on to that. Siege tanks now set up again. An expansion has been made and the battle cruisers sneaking by. Shh, be very quiet. We have to be stealth cruisers here. Make our way up to the enemy bases. Very still over whatever this is. That's a heck of a skybox. The swarm host doing pretty good, actually, being cost effective. I do like the choice of swarm host. We have a Nidus network on the way too, which is a very good complement to swarm host. Now, you picture it. You put a Nidus like here, swarm host, locusts up here. Maybe even some Vipers around. Brood Lords could be pressuring multiple angles here. The Broods are going to start pressuring this expansion as the battle cruisers fly in. Anti-air defense is a bit lacking for the Zayed player, which means these scavengers are going to be decimated. Zayed player scrambles to bring some forces back home. Astarte made a ping for attack a battle cruiser, trying to alert their ally. Unfortunately, their ally has mostly Broodlord Swarm Host, which is a no bueno for fighting battle cruisers. What happened over here? Ah, that thing I was talking about happened over here. Cool. The focus is on the battle cruisers for right now, though. The Mendlings doing their best, actually doing a fair amount of damage. Do not lose that. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. Teleport those cruisers home. Make them safe. Make them happy. The Broodlords do not have to respond to the defense. Oh, how interesting. The Scavenger actually makes the building. Zerg adjacent. Yamato. Yamato onto a Mendling. That was the Yamato of SAS. Swarm host getting more damage done though, taking out some workers, resources lost. You know, despite the absolute beating that it seems like the Zayed player has been taking, they're actually at least resources lost. So, good job. Rosebud, Nidus worms going all around, Swarm host, Broodlord. It doesn't get much more cost effective. Maybe Lurker Viper is the only thing that could rival this. But getting damage done with free units always feels good. Are there ghosts? There's no ghosts in play here. You opting for the true mech style, the battlecruiser Thor play. Anti-air though, only 7 corruptors. Sassy Yamatos go out against the Broodlords. Battlecruisers are going to be picked off by the Meddlings. And it looks like the focus is just going to be here. How do you feel about that? You don't actually have to answer. The choice to parade push, to focus all of your efforts into this area versus trying to split off, you know, some of the swarm hosts go over here, you make a Nida swarm in here, just try and cause some fires. Especially with 2 players in play. What are those? Massalisks. Large, low-ranged, durable beast with splash damage. Can use Hunker, which makes the Massalisk immobile and give it increased armor and anti-air. Oh. So it's like... it sounds a little bit like a siege tank that has a low range, because in this mobile form it can hit ground units, but you can tell it to sit down and then it can hit air units. That's kind of cool. I have long thought about giving that to roaches or marauders. I'm sure I've mentioned that in some of my past videos. The marauders and roaches should be able to sit down and face up and hit air units above them. Broodlords testing the waters against the Thors, which is probably not very healthy. Swarm host Locusts get on top of the Thor, which does fairly decent damage. There's Vipers here. Welcome to the party, Vipers. Battle cruisers pushing forward. Yamatos go out onto the Massalisks, it looks like, which are doing their fancy air attack. You saw those yellow bolts. Battle cruisers going to be decimated. The air forces are gone. Those Massalisks should really get up. They can still use their anti-ground attack, though. I wonder if it just makes it a lower range. The Swarm Host, what are you doing? The Swarm Host just walking into tank and Thor fire. Not quite good, not quite Swarm Host friendly. Nidus Worm popping up. These Thors pushing a bit far forward. Thor's pushing really far forward. Thor's gone rogue. Thor's gone wild. You choose. How's you doing though? Resources lost? The Zerg and the Terran actually relatively even. Looks like the focus is shifting more towards the battle cruisers. Which, you know, like, yeah, battle cruisers are pretty good. Upgrades? We're only at 1-1 for the cruisers. Corruptors dancing around, able to get about half. No, where are you going? Finish him off. Well, cruiser's going to retreat, able to get repaired up. A single Hellion makes its way up to the Zayd base here, which is trying desperately to birth a scavenger. Sounds painful. That's an answer. Teamwork. Ultralisk responds, deals with the Hellion quickly, efficiently. Viper yanking a battlecruiser, yanking a second time, and it's gone. It just jumps out, which... oh, nobody likes fighting battlecruisers. Very rarely. Very rarely is it enjoyable to actually fight battlecruisers. Gotta shut down their warp. That's why TVT you see the Ravens come out. Interference matrix. Everybody's doing a pretty good job with this, I feel. Zerg, you can definitely tell, I think, a bit more comfortable, maybe, taking point with a bunch of these attacks. You... well, that's what that looks like. Acid Nest, as described, as stated. Ultra is going to respond to the Hellbat run by here. Try to transform. They're gonna outrun the Ultras. Yeah, that looks about right. Holy scan, Batman. Nidus Worms go at Broodlords, angering the battlecruisers on the left side. Vipers. Oh, Parasitic Bomb is left behind when they jump. Ah. I'm not sure I actually have come across that. The Massalisks angrily strutting their stuff as they walk up to the Terran's expansion. And both players still just trying to break this position. Do you think they can do it? Do you think they can break this position? You pulling a few boys to repair. The attack command goes out. Beautiful blinding clouds onto the Thors and the tanks. The Massalisks hunker down, start shelling the cruisers. And if you can't tell what's going on in this battle, I don't blame you. This is chaos. Looks like the Terran ground forces are going to be dealt with pretty easily. The battlecruiser's going to start to back up and get out of the fight, though. Zerg's taken a lot of losses. The Remax looks like a mixture of Corruptor Ultra Viper, which sounds beautiful. Hellions find a drone line. Oh, that hurt right in the Zerg. I'm sorry, Zerg players. The Corruptor's dealing with the battlecruisers, though. It looks like the Terran forces at last going to be wiped out. Can he recover? Can the defense be brought back to bear? The bases are going to be lost. This planetary fortress comes under repair. Will the Massalisks reign supreme? The Swarm Host is going to stare angrily at it. That's fine. These things have a lot of health, actually. Up to 550. That's essentially Ultras. Ultra, how much health you got? 500. The Massalisk actually has more. Remax of Mendlings coming from the Zayed player. We've seen those little itty-bitty anti-air and healers, which actually is funny. It looks like a lurker that is using Queen animations. A battlecruiser Yamato onto some Corruptors again. These bases are going to be completely cleansed of the Terran infestation. Terran, though, getting a little bit of damage done as well. Worker count. Ooh, Terran at quite the deficit now. Orbital commands still exist, though. Could get some mules, but the problem is the minerals. This is the last mining base for the Terran. The Broodlord, Swarm Host, Corruptor, Ultra Viper, Mendling, Massalisk, Wombo combo, we'll call it. That was a mouthful. I felt it. Decent army, actually, from the Terran player. Got out a few battle cruisers, siege tanks, Thors, looking to push across the map. One final hoorah, it seems. Even pulled some boys with it. Thor's gonna meet the enemy first. Siege tanks sieging up on the high ground here. The Ultras should be dealt with, but the Thors are taking a decent amount of... Wow. Siege tanks, get rid of the Mendlings quickly. The Broodlords are an issue for the tanks, though. Tanks seem to be dealing well. The Zayed player loses everything. Mules drop down. These are not manor mules. These are repair mules. There's a difference. There's only 2 Thors, actually. So the Broodlords, they might actually be able to clear some of the ground force. Oh, the ground forces are toast. There's a lot of Zerglings. The final stand of the Terran. The battlecruiser's gonna start to warp away one by one. And GG is called. You tapping out. In this match, the 2 players prevail, clearing the expansions with a certified swarm of bug and bug adjacent units. You have to hand it to you, though. A round of applause. Quick clap for you. Holding out that long. That was a 26.5-minute match between these 3 players, and a rather glorious one at that. If you enjoyed, be sure to let me know in the comments below, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.